second on the grid. Cars coming to the grid. We are quite a long way off the start of the race yet, but the field having been released, many of them of course taking the opportunity to do more than one formation lap, so the grid looking rather barren at the moment as many of them are still driving down the pit lane, which itself is rather busy because there's a podium ceremony going on for the previous race. There, car number 98, that being Gerard van der Horst's Lamborghini Cup entry. He's a multiple champion within the Lamborghini Cup, is Gerard van der Horst, but he's had a pretty tough season there because the Semolins and also Jose Collado have arrived this year and done the lion's share of the winning. So see how this race pans out. 50 minutes, as I say, with mandatory pit stops. And everybody now venturing round towards the grid. The championship with this weekend, and then one more, which is at Jerez as part of the Lamborghini World Finals. That will be at the end of October. And Jack Bartholomew, Stuart Middleton, winners at Silverstone and at Spa. Karol Basch and Bartosz Paziewski, winners at Silverstone. Kiko Galbiati, Vito Postiglione, winners at Misano. And Sergei Afanasiev and Danny Cruz, triple winners at Zandvoort twice and at Spa. Let's go to the grid and join our reporter, Dakota Jane.
Giorgio, it's always a beautiful day here on the Lamborghini grid. It's so incredible to see how many levels of drivers you have and all kinds of ages. Do you think so?
Well, we are first of all very happy because we have just finished the GT World Challenge race with the GT3, where we have finished P1, P2. So of course, good mood, let me say. Good way to start this racing day. Now we see the race in the Super Trofeo. Of course, in the first 3-4 rows, we have a lot of young drivers, very fast. They are competing for the European title. Next round will be in Jerez before the World Final. So it will be a thrilling race also in this case.
Now, this young driver program is absolutely fantastic for young drivers to get involved, really with the GT3 program as well. So tell me a little bit about your young drivers program. I believe it's 7 drivers from European who's going to be shooting out for that program.
Yes, at the end of the month we will have the shootout for the Young Drivers program. We are very proud about this program because last year we have promoted at the end of the season Dennis Linde as a factory driver. He's doing very well in the GT World Challenge, in the Blancpain Endurance Series, together with Caldarelli and Mapelli that were already factory drivers with us. And then he's won the Super Trofeo Series in Europe and the world title in 2016. As Altoe, that last year won the world title and the European Championship, and now is leading the GT Open in GT3. Means that our program is working very well. We support a lot of talent drivers. We have support also the Super Trofeo champions during the 24 Hours of Spa in Silver Cup. 3 drivers that had the opportunity to race at high level thanks to Lamborghini Squadra Corse. So we continue to work very hard to support these drivers.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, Giorgio Sana. Enjoy the race.
Giorgio Sana, former racer himself, and makes his way down the grid. The anthems in the background are for the teams operating cars from the Blancpain GT World Challenge, and as he says, we just had a Lamborghini 1-2 in that, 2 different teams, FFF Racing Team and the GLT Grasser Racing Team. Robert Svinga is on the grid and good to go. He's another of the drivers who's come across into Lamborghini racing this year from the VLN and the Creventic series, and Robert Svinga lining up in the 5th row, so could be a driver to look for to see what progress can be made. So everybody ready to go racing. 23 cars we have for this first of the 2 races of the weekend. They're looking through the car, these Lamborghini Huracan Evos, and 99 operated by the GT3 Poland team. Robert Svinga, Slovakian driver, but the GT3 Poland squad running this car for the AM driver. So to the back of the grid will come Shodrab Kazava, who had dramas in qualifying, but he should be able to make some progress. We've also got coming to the grid the Jake Rattenbury car, the British driver, who shares with the Finn Mikko Eskelinen, and in the sunshine. The breeze has picked up a little bit, so it's a bit cooler than it was earlier on, but it's still very un-Nürburgring-like weather for the fans to enjoy here. They are getting set, ready for this 50-minute race. Mandatory pit stops between 20 and 30 minutes, as you look there at the Russian driver Sergei Afanasiev and his helmeted co-driver to do the first stint of Danny Cruz. Now, further back on the grid is Jose Collado from the Lamborghini Cup. He's with Dakota.
Geoff, c'est une très belle grid, c'est une très belle jour pour faire de la course. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez?
Oui, je pense qu'on a de la chance parce qu'il devait pleuvoir un peu cet après-midi et demain. Je crois que la météo a changé, donc c'est bien. À part que j'aime bien la pluie, mais bon, c'est comme ça. J'ai eu quelques petits soucis aux essais, mais bon, ça va. On verra la course.
What he said is it's very hot inside the car. He thinks he has a good chance to go racing and that he's not going to make any mistakes, right, Joseph?
Ok, merci beaucoup.
Bonne chance. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Jose Collado then. Jose Collado in the AGS Events entered car. And one of the front runners within the Lamborghini Cup. He was a winner at Misano and at Zandvoort as well. There for the Bonaldi team, number 32, Jack Bartholomew, who will go first, and Stuart Middleton, very, very quick British driver is Stuart, who is a former Ginetta Junior front runner. He was runner-up in that, GT4 race winner last year and British GT4 champion going back 2 seasons. Jack Bartholomew was the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Middle East champion last year, in the first year of the Middle East Championship, and again was one of the front runners at the start of this season in that as well. There on the grid, number 66 is the car that is shared by Josef Zaruba and Jakub Knoll, and it's going to be Josef Zaruba, who's probably the quicker of the two, that will go first. So that car, which is the Michenek Motorsport ACCR entry, ready to go, and Josef Zaruba eager to get on with the job here. So everybody, of course, in the same car, same type of car. It's down to the teams, down to the drivers to get the best out of this package. Also down to make sure that you don't muck up in the pit stops. Let's have a walk up the rather crowded grid. Number 3, Danny Cruz will start. Jack Bartholomew with him at the front of the grid. On the second row, you've got the car of Victor Postiglione and Kiko Gabbiati, his co-driver, with Josef Zaruba for company. On the third row of the grid, Niels Lagrange, and alongside him, the car of Jordan Witt and Oscar Lee, and it's going to be Oscar Lee who will, Jordan Witt that will go first in this race. Then you've got Mikko Escalanen and Jake Rattenbury's car, with Davide Venditti and Alberto Di Folco lining up alongside. On the next row of the grid should be Robert Svinger, lining up alongside Thomas Padovani. Then the car of Jack Boutel that he shares with David Fairbrother. Jack Boutel, who we've seen in LMP3 racing, now coming into GT cars, and alongside him is going to be Nico Gomar. Next on the grid, Gerard van der Horst, and alongside him is going to be Antonios Vossos. Such is the size of the number of people on the grid, we've got a bit boxed in here. Creep forward. There you'll see the blue car of Jack Boutel on the inside, Nico Gomar on the outside. Right, Gerard van der Horst should be next on the inside up against the pit wall. There it is, the van der Horst car, and the Greek driver Antonios Vossos lining up alongside for Target Racing. Then we get to Josef Collado, number 79. He'll have Holger Harmsen alongside for company. Next on the grid will be Oliver Freimuth, who's been a regular one-mate racer, mainly in Renaults over the seasons. And then Gregor Mokczulski comes next in his GT3 Poland entry. Number 21, you can see it in the background, the orange car. And then the next row of the grid will have the almost highlighter pen Dayglow orange Superchai Wirabor car from the Lamborghini Cup. Alongside it is going to be Simelin Senior, Francois Simelin, who will start. On the penultimate row of the grid, Hans Fabry alongside number 22 of Libor Dvoracek. And then the grid is completed by Shota Arkazova, who will be the last driver there. So, grid is formed. We are just about ready to go. Of course, there'll be the formation lap, and then 50 minutes of racing set to get underway. There is Shota Arkazova. Lamborghini Urus at the front, the leading car ready to take them around. And that's ready to go. So the grid is set, and on board Shota Abkhazova, the Georgian driver, racer, circuit owner, team owner, promoter, you name it, and experienced campaigner. Got the track map there on the door. It's not so much that he doesn't know what the circuit is, but if he suddenly gets a shout of something at turn 8, he's got a quick reference guide to what turn 8 means. So the corner's all numbered, and the car here is Jake Rattenbury for Leipert, shares with Mikko Eskelinen. And Jake Rattenbury, who is another graduate of the UK scene, came from Ginetta Juniors into GTs, done a bit of Porsche racing as well. They're number 3, then the car to beat, really, Danny Cruz, who has come into the Lamborghini Super Trofeo this year from karting and Formula 4. He's had a spell in TCR as well as in the Dutch Supercar Challenge. So in a short space of time, he's done quite a lot of driving. And he, in a moment, will be released like the rest, ready for this 50-minute race. Engines all fire up. And the field now ready to go. As far as the championships are concerned, in the pro category now, it is a 13-point lead that Afanasiev and Cruz have over Kiko Gabbiati and Vito Postiglione, so they need to fight back here. Third, Jack Bartholomew and Stuart Middleton, with now fourth being Karol Bash and Bartosz Pawliecki. And having talked about them, only now does the penny drop that is a crew absent this weekend, unfortunately. Everybody sets off now onto the formation lap. Then in the Pro-Am competition, Shota Abkhazova is the championship leader. He's had different co-drivers this year, so he is reunited this weekend with Harold Schlegelmilch, but Harold is second in the championship because he hasn't done all the races. But Shota Abkhazova looking very strong for a title actually now in Pro-Am. In the Am Cup, Nicolas Gomar is ahead by 22 points from Mikko Eskelinen and Jake Rattenbury, who in turn are 9 ahead of Robert Svinger. And then in the Lamborghini Cup, the Semelins ahead of Jose Collado, 104 points, plays 82. So Jose Collado knowing that he again needs a good score out of this race. So the field turning its way through, and the drivers ready to go. Those the overall points rather than the category points, but it's the different classes that the championship is scored on. So the cars now turning their way through turn 5, and Danny Cruz versus Jack Bartholomew off the line. Jack, in fairness to him, has proved to be a handy peddler, but Stuart Middleton seems to have been the real gun in that car. He's been the one that's hauled the results out of it at Silverstone and at Spa for the race win. So let's see what Jack Bartholomew can do here to perhaps stem the tide of people thinking that Stuart Middleton is the quicker of the two. Field there turning round the turn 8 bump curve at the bottom of the hill. And now the climb up into the Schumacher S, the road heading uphill. The Lamborghini Urus leads them round at the end of this lap. Of course, they'll get themselves in the 2x2 formation ready for the start. And there, Antonios Vossos, the Greek driver, a very patriotic blue and white car goes through. Vossos, who's been another regular in Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and it's good to have him back in the championship because he wasn't in the first round at Monza, but he's bounced back. So the series that hasn't got quite as many cars this year, but what it perhaps does have is a more competitive championship. The field now heading down the hill. Vito Postiglione for really the last 3 seasons has come within a whisker of winning the championship at the last round, only to be denied. So can he do anything about getting ahead here of Afanasiev and Krus? The good news is that there isn't the Karol Bash, Bartosz Pazieski car to take points against them, but equally there are fewer cars in the Pro Cup to perhaps get between him and his championship rival, even if he were to win. And just 4 more races, 2 here and then 2 at Jerez to kick off the World Final weekend. So through they turn into the chicane, oh so slowly, and then if the race director is happy, he will give the indication. The lead car now dives for the pit lane, and the drivers themselves still can't accelerate. They can only do that when they get up towards the timing line, and the race will get underway then. But on pole position, it is Danny Krus, and as the cars now make the run up towards the timing line, this first of the 2 races for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe is about to get underway. Danny Krus then, the man on pole position. With him at the front of the grid is Jack Bartholomew. Lights change, we go racing. Good start made by Krus, then on the run down towards turn 1. Also trying to get up the inside. Look, the green car of Vito Postiglione on the inside line there. He gets ahead of Jack Bartholomew, who gets forced back into 3rd place. Danny Krus goes wide. Bartholomew dives back up the inside, goes ahead of Postiglione. Is he going to be able to get 2nd place? It's a very crowded house because they wriggle their way up towards turn 2 for the first time. Everybody cleanly through. Bartholomew's on the outside of Postiglione. Does he manage to make the move? No, he doesn't. There's a bold effort being made behind as well, look. So here, for the first time out of the Mercedes arena they come, and the leader is Danny Krus, just benefiting a little by all the battles that are going on around him. 2nd then is Postiglione, 3rd is Bartholomew as they come down towards turn 5. Everybody safely through the first few corners. 1 or 2 scares, but they've all disappeared as there Jordan Witt, who has been doing great things this year in the Silver Cup in the Endurance Blancpain GT Series for Mark Lemmer's team. Jordan Witt's been a pretty handy driver for a number of years, and we've got a drive-through penalty already. There's a drive-through penalty for number 12, the car of Shotrab Kazava. So I think that must be for jumping the start from the back of the grid. I think he was perhaps overtaking in advance of what he should have done, and so a drive-through penalty comes for number 12, Shotrab Kazava, up from the rear of the grid as the cars now blast their way through the Schumacher S, then for the first time of asking. Danny Krus it is that leads the way, and Kiko Galbiati doing the chasing then in 2nd spot now as the cars blast their way up towards the completion of lap number 1. Jack Bartholomew is 3rd, and then in 4th place Josef Zaruba. But going very strongly indeed is Danny Krus, already look being able to build up this gap. Down they come towards the chicane. Turns his way through the left, through the right. It's the slower version of the chicane the Lamborghinis use, unlike the Blancpain GT cars, for example, that have the softer version, the motorbike version. End of lap 1. Danny Krus leads the way then. 2nd across the line is Kiko Galbiati. The gap's already 1.8 seconds. 3rd is Bartholomew. In 4th place, Josef Zaruba. 5th is Jordan Witt. Niels Lagrange is in 6th place as the cars then go down towards turn 1. And then for 7th place, Davide Venditti. Jake Rassenbury is 8th, leading his class. Robert Svinger is 9th. And in 10th place is Thomas Paravani. Shotrab Kazava getting his drive-through penalty out of the way, serving that now, incidentally, as the leaders come. There he is, Shotrab Kazava down the pit road as the leaders work their way out of the Mercedes arena for the 2nd time. There, in 2nd place, Kiko Galbiati, who arrived on the scene at the World Final at Valencia a few years ago, was an instant standout, but up until this year, we've only ever really seen him in Pro-Am machinery. This year, as a pro with Vito Postiglione, surprisingly, they've only had 2 wins. I think most people expected that to be the absolute shoe-in, but the combination of Danny Krus and Sergei Afanasiev have been very impressive indeed, and we've had a fair spread of winners in the championship. Also, of course, Jack Bartholomew and Stuart Middleton have been doing a fair amount of winning, 2 victories there as well. So, lap 2, race leaders make the run up towards the Schumacher S once again. They're going through his 51, that is Jordan Witt. So, first time we've really seen him in Super Trofeo, driving for the Leipert team. He's got the Taiwanese driver Oscar Lee as his co-driver. Through goes Galbiati then, hanging on to that 2nd place. Bartholomew 3rd, but these 2 losing touch, look, with the race leader. Danny Krus getting away here as the cars drop downhill once again. To the chicane they come. In 4th place, look, the red, white and blue car there. Joseph Zaruba, Jordan Witt behind. And then in 6th place, the Belgian driver, Niels Lagrange, number 30, who was in the wars a little bit at Spa in the last meeting. Now they come then into the Hyundai curve through that right-hander, and then they are launched down the pit straight once again. Over the timing line goes Cruz. The gap will be up, will it not? Yes, by another 7/10, so 2.4 now the margin. In 3rd place it is Bartholomew, in 4th is Zaruba. And in 5th place is Jordan Witt, and then in 6th place is Niels Lagrange. So there is 32, Jack Bartholomew, hanging on to that 3rd place, but he's dropping back a little bit from Kiko Galbiati. And Danny Cruz hanging on to that advantage. And Shotrub Kazava, you'll see in the replay at the start here, already gaining places long before the timing line. So forging his way through, taking the places then as the cars dive down towards the 1st corner. So Danny Cruz it is, leading the way from Kiko Galbiati. And the race then now on lap number 3. Down through the bottom of the hill comes the leading battle. Danny Cruz doing his best to get away from Galbiati, who is still losing touch. 33 goes through. Jake Rassenbury leading at the moment in the AM class. But up front for Bonaldi, Danny Cruz building this gap then. 2.4 seconds clear last time. And Danny Cruz then trying to build the gap all the while over Galbiati. So far, so good. Looking to see if he can perhaps get a 4th win of the season out of all of this, along with Sergei Afanasiev. In the classes, Jordan Witt, first time out, looking pretty impressive here, going strongly to lead in Pro-Am. AMs, as I say, Rassenbury and Eskelinen, and then in the Lamborghini Cup at the moment, Joseph Collado is clear in that category. Right, Kiko Galbiati out of the chicane. Can he do anything about this 2.4 second deficit to Danny Cruz as they come towards the end of the lap there? In 3rd place is Jack Bartholomew. Over the timing line they go now, and the margin between the leaders is up again, 2.7 seconds. And Danny Cruz continuing to do fastest laps of the race. Josef Zaruba there in 4th place. Turns his way now down towards turn 3, and on his own at the moment is Zaruba. Jordan Witt well clear in his class, because another newcomer, another Brit, in fact, Jack Butel, is the class opposition in 13th place overall. And Shotrub Kazava having to do the hard work from the back of the grid now in 23rd spot, the car that he shares with Harold Schlegelmilch, although it's Schlegelmilch being shown, I think in error, as the man behind the wheel at the moment. There is 51, Jordan Witt then. Down the hill he blasts, keeping Niels Lagrange at bay. So through turn 8, the Dunlop curve they come, and the climb uphill once more. So whoops, up the curb goes Jordan Witt, gets the power down, the car squirms underneath him, he saves it, but is that going to give Lagrange a chance to challenge? Not really. Jordan Witt fends him off as they come now up towards the exit of the Schumacher S and towards the midpoint of the lap. There is Niels Lagrange then in the Lippert car, having a look to the inside line. That's brave and it's bold and it works for him. Now, was Jordan Witt got a problem because he didn't put up much of a fight there? Maybe thinking, I'm not a regular in the championship, there's no point slamming the door, in which case good thinking by Jordan Witt. He knows about Lamborghinis because he races them in the Endurance Series, but didn't fight that as he comes out of the Ad Van Bogen up to the chicane now, and then to the end of the lap. So Lagrange goes by. Davide Vendetti is going to be the next driver in the background, look, to come up and have a go at Jordan Witt. So over the timing line, Alberto Di Folco, Davide Venditti, very competitive drivers both, and Venditti another within that pro category. Car that went well in the early stages at Spa, fell back into second place in the second race. There, 33 going through is Jake Rassenbury. Now he's doing a good job here, 8th overall in the class leading car ahead of Robert Svinger and Nico Gomar. Class leader confirmed, Jake Rattenbury, best of the AMs, and the opposition, Robert Zwinger behind him, but the gap between the pair of them, 1.2 seconds. So Jake Rattenbury climbs the hill. Now we've got about 10 minutes just over before the pit window opens. Jake Rattenbury, I would envisage, he's going to stay out for as long as possible because he's quicker than Mikko Eskelinen. So Rattenbury given the task here of getting the lead, keeping the lead, building the lead. Up through turn 12, he comes, drops downhill. And shows up Kazama after his drive-through, is now starting to gain places back again, up in the 21st spot now. Robert Zwinger there in 9th place. His target is just up the road ahead. Jake Rattenbury, not only for the position, but for the class lead. They're going through with Robert Zwinger, then he's in 9th spot overall. Heads towards the timing line, and as he goes through, the gap between the two of them, between Rattenbury and Zwinger, 1.2 seconds. Rattenbury still quicker that time around. Danny Kroos up front, 3.5 seconds to the good at the moment over Kiko Galbiati. Jack Bartholomew in 3rd place. So as far as the lead situation is concerned, the gap is widening. There is Kroos. Gap widening in the race, widening in the championship if they can stay ahead of Kiko Galbiati and Vito Postiglione. Down the hill, Jordan Wick keeping there, Davide Venditti at bay. Venditti, who came from the Italian Formula 4 series before Lamborghinis, experienced in single-seaters, but relatively new, of course, therefore, to GT cars. But he's learnt well this season, getting on with the job and being a podium finisher at Spa. Field climbing up through the Schumacher S. Once again, you see that huge runoff area at the bottom of the hill. You've got to get it very wrong to go all the way off through there. We have had 1 or 2 cars tripping off in the gravel. We had Francois Semelin stopping the qualifying session by going off the road, in fact, this morning. And Semelin is in 20th spot at the moment as Robert Zwinger goes through in 9th, number 99. Now on board here with the Schroeter Abkazler Harold Schlegelmilch car in 21st place. As I say, it was meant to be Abkazler to start, but Schlegelmilch shown as being the man behind the wheel, and it did rather look more like Harold Schlegelmilch behind the wheel when we dropped in just then, so question mark over that. See what the lap times are in the second stint. At the moment, that car's doing 2 minute 1.7, which is a very Schlegelmilch pace, it's got to be said. So could well have been that they've made a driver change and elected to let Schlegelmilch do this race alone, for example, see what can be gained on the chance to race alone and gain points, bringing him back to level with his regular co-driver in the championship. Joseph Collado goes through. He is 12th at the moment and leading the Lamborghini Cup section. Joseph Collado goes strongly in that, and he's doing a good job overall as well, as you can tell from where he is in the standings. Butel is behind him, making his Lamborghini Super Trofeo debut. Downhill goes there, 81, Jack Butel. Quick young driver, Jack, came again out of single-seaters into sports cars, and now looking at GTs perhaps as an option for the future, but he's done a lot of mileage in a short space of time. It's good to see him coming into this championship, which increasingly is getting more and more awareness in the UK, more British drivers thinking about this as an option into GT racing, especially with that Lamborghini Young Driver programme that Giorgio Sanna was talking about pre-race. Danny Kroos is another driver that would quite like to benefit from that. Here he is, leading the way, comes up now towards the turn 14 chicane. and then up towards the completion of the lap. Jack Bartholomew still chases on in third place. The leader has just gone across the timing line. Danny Cruz ahead last time by 3.3 seconds. Now the gap over Kiko Galbiati is actually 2.8. It's come down a little. And then Jack Bartholomew in third spot. Now what about Bartholomew versus Galbiati before the end of this stint? The last lap was a 2 minutes 2 from Bartholomew, but a 2 minutes 1.9 from Galbiati. The margin is widening, therefore, 5 minutes before the pit window opens. Race leader down now towards turn 5, and Danny Cruz looking unstoppable at the moment. He's built the gap. It might not be a massive one of 2.8 seconds, but it's enough. Down the hill there goes number 3. So Danny Cruz at the wheel in the first sector of this lap. He is being caught, interestingly, by Kiko Galbiati. So the gap came down last time. He's come down by a further 4/10 in the first sector alone. Why is this after 7 laps? Is Cruz driving within himself, or is Galbiati suddenly upping the pace? Either way, that gap's coming down between them as we approach the pit stops. Of turn 13 down the hill comes the race leading car. Danny Cruz hustling on for the Rinaldi team. Now he's about to get to the end of the second sector as he approaches the chicane, so we'll get another idea here of the gap. And also for third and fourth, you'll see Bartholomew is being caught now by Josef Zaruba, who took 2/10 out of him in the first sector. Zaruba twitching under braking. The lead gap is down by another 10th in sector 2. Third and fourth is down by another 2/10 in sector 2. So the lead is concertinaing, and so is the fight for third as they head up towards the timing line now. The leader goes through then, so number 3, Danny Cruz over the line, chased by Kiko Galbiati, and that gap is this time 2.1 seconds. We've got probably 2 laps before the pit window opens now. Jack Bartholomew there is third, and then the 4th place behind him, Josef Zaruba in the car that he will give to Jakob Knoll, newcomers to the championship this year. Now for Bartholomew and Middleton, they're 5 seconds back at different pit stop times, whether you are a singleton or a double driver entry. For soloists, it's 63 seconds. It is 60 if you are a 2 driver entry. So actually the leading cars pretty much all 2 drivers these days. It's increasingly a double driver competition. It's only really when you get to the AMs or the Lamborghini Cup drivers that pay their own way that they want all the track time to themselves. Other than this question mark over number 12 of Harold Schlegelmilch and or Shota Abkazova. 32, Jack Bartholomew downhill. There is Bartholomew in third place with Josef Zaruba getting close at the gap, only 7/10 of a second. He's just brought it down by 1,000th as well in sector 1 of this lap. So evenly matched now, but yeah, so Josef Zaruba hustling on as best he can. Race leader currently on lap number 9, and Josef Zaruba there inching up, the ex-Formula Renault racer, onto the tail of Jack Bartholomew. It's an increasing trend, isn't there, of people, ex-single-seater racers, coming into GT, into sports cars. And there, wide goes Bartholomew, and that very nearly gave Zaruba the chance to challenge. Here they come into the Ad Van Bogen almost as one. Is this going to give Zaruba a chance to dive out the inside into the chicane? There's just about a gap on the inside. Bartholomew is able to cover him off. He is able to hang on to the place, but only just. Very tight indeed between these two. They're being caught as a consequence by Niels Lagrange, but now up towards the end of the lap, out of turn 17 they will come, heading over the timing line now. Jack Bartholomew just hanging on a third place. Josef Zaruba is almost hidden behind him. He's about to perhaps make a lunge up the inside. Let's see as they come down towards the braking zone now. Again, Bartholomew is able to cover him off, and Harold Schlegelmilch, it must be him in Abkazova's car, has just done the absolute best in the first sector. So Harold Schlegelmilch, contrary to what was done in qualifying, is driving number 12 now and working his way up the order. Race leaders dive down towards turn 3. Bartholomew hanging on to his third place. The pit window will be open in a minute's time and counting. Josef Zaruba running fourth, Lagrange fifth, change for sixth now. Davide Venditti up past Jordan Witt. Eighth is Rattenbury, still leading his class. Ninth is Zwinger, and 10th is Nico Gomar. There is Jack Bartholomew down at turn 6, then as the cars drop downhill. And again, Jack Bartholomew a little bit deep into turn 8, so runs out wide, compromises the exit slightly, and does that give Josef Zaruba now the chance to challenge on the climb up the hill. They flick through the chicane at the Schumacher S, up now towards turns 11 and 12, and the window is about to open. Now, does Danny Cruz bail early from the lead and put Sergei Afanasiev in the car, or does he stay out? What about Galbiati for Vito Postiglione? Jack Bartholomew perhaps to give way early to Stuart Middleton. Josef Zaruba, though, has proved to be quicker than Jakob Noll, so he's going to stay behind the wheel, I suspect. And then number 30, Niels Lagrange, who shares with Anthony Lambert. He may also go a little bit longer. The window is open, as you see, and there is Galbiati in to give way to Vito Postiglione. So more and more of them heading for the pit lane now. Galbiati is the first of the significant ones down the pit road. There, over the line, goes Zaruba. We've got Jack Bartholomew in as well. Zaruba is under attack now from Niels Lagrange. Davide Venditti is in to give way to Alberto Di Folco. So we're going to have a real shuffle around in the order now, with people stopping early, others stopping late. But if you are the quicker of the two, you'll maximise your track time. So if you're doing the first stint, you'll stay out longer. Lagrange challenging Zaruba, forces him wide at turn 3, gets up alongside, but he can't make the move stick. So it's the number 66 car then that hangs onto the position in the hands of the Czech driver Josef Zaruba. More and more of them pour down the pit road. Jared van der Horst has just come in out of the Lamborghini Cup battle, for example, so also Gregor Machulski. And all of this now bringing Harold Schlegelmilch up into virtually the top 10. Down the hill, drops Zaruba. He's also managed to shake off Niels Lagrange, hasn't he, by a length here? Away goes Postiglione. In the background comes the Thai driver, Supachai Weeraboorwampong, in the bright orange car. And Danny Cruz, the race leader now by an extended margin, effectively, because of the pit stop. So he's 10 seconds to the good, under no real pressure at the moment. There is Gerard van der Horst's car. Lights are flashing in the pit lane. Back out goes 44, now Postiglione at the wheel. So Galbiati started. There is the battle on between Lambert and Zaruba. So this is for a notional second place. Of course, they've yet to stop. Niels Lagrange rather on the outside line. Tries to get past Zaruba, outfoxes him slightly, compromises the run through the chicane, and now they blast up towards the end of the lap. Again, the door is closed. Josef Zaruba just fends him off, but then he goes wide because he carried too much speed into the corner. Niels Lagrange says, thank you very much, ducks up the inside, takes the place. Over the line they go then. And that puts Niels Lagrange into second place on the road, but he'll lose that back again to Vito Postiglione once the pit stops unravel. Whoops, big moment for Lagrange. He's going to lose the place to Zaruba because of the mistake, never mind on the pit stop. So a big slide for Niels Lagrange. Sorts himself out, but loses the place back to Josef Zaruba there. So 1 up, 1 down for Niels Lagrange. And the race leader, Danny Cruz, 11 laps to the good. We've still got 6.5 minutes just over of the pit window being open. Right, in has come number 12, the Harold Schlegelmilch car. Now the question is whether he's going to stay behind the wheel or not. Downhill comes Zaruba. So is Schlegelmilch going to stay in? Looks like he is. Question therefore, why? Because Shotaram Kalsava, who was meant to do the first stint, ain't going to drive at all. And the question is as to why, whether he's been taken ill or had felt that he wasn't quick enough, but why he hasn't driven, question mark. Either way, Schlegelmilch going solo, and he will be a factor in the second stint, I would have thought. So, the race leader, Danny Krus, is clear now by 12 seconds. This is the battle going on behind between Josef Zaruba and Niels Lagrange. Lagrange was briefly ahead, having made that mistake though, and it was all here coming up towards turn 2 that it happened. He's given the place back, both of them on the ragged edge, both of them almost looking like they caught some liquid and got sideways, but the road was dry, and through on the inside line went Zaruba. Into the pits now comes Lagrange. Some in, some out, as the pits is a busy place at the moment. And Harold Schlegelmilch back on track. Danny Krus is in, there's the leader. So Danny Krus to give way to Sergei Afanasiev. Krus walked away, job done, and leaves the team to do the strapping in and to monitor the clock. So the stationary time, remember, for a 2-driver entry is a minute. And that is Vito Postiglione then, who is now trying to put in qualifying type laps to get himself into contention against what will become Sergei Afanasiev's car after the stops. So the window is still open. Pretty much most have now made their mandatory pit stop. As you look at Postiglione, who's been a real front runner in this championship for many seasons now. He's got huge amounts of experience in most one-make championships. He's even had a spell in the World Touring Car Championship, but Postiglione lost out to Patrick Kuila, to Dennis Lind, to Giacomo Altway in terms of winning the championship outright, so he desperately wants to try and score the title this year. There, ready to go, is Sergei Afanasiev. He accelerates away now, trips the pit out beam and is on track. So Postiglione is ahead on the stops. It was a slightly quicker pit stop then from Vito Postiglione's car, and so on the pit stops, number 44, he says hesitantly, has gone through by, yes, 0.7 of a second quicker he was. So Vito Postiglione there is the new race leader, and Sergei Afanasiev into his stint, trying to get himself up to speed in that car, is on the back foot because he's lost the lead, and now he's got to try and get himself dialed in and go after Postiglione. Down towards turn 5 they come, and Vito Postiglione looking now for a third victory of the season. He and Kiko Galbiati won both at Misano, and now it's game on between these two. Afanasiev, who's had 3 wins, hunts down the leader. Now, is he going to be able to do anything at all about Postiglione? Vito is the more experienced in Lamborghini terms, but Afanasiev comes then now up the hill. We've got 2 pit stops under investigation. Holger Harmsen's being one, Joseph Colado's being another, potentially for being too short. So there is the new race leader. On track, Jordan Witt is the man in charge, but he's yet to stop, so it's a phony lead. This is the real situation to monitor and to see whether Afanasiev can come back at Postiglione, but you can see the way the gap has widened over the course of the lap. As up the curb goes Afanasiev in second place. Zaruba is pitted. That's Jordan Witt who leads on the road. The Taiwanese driver, Oscar Lee, using the car, using the circuit, will take it over. That is Jakob Knoll taking over number 66 from Josef Zaruba. And let's see, as the race works, lap 14, 22 minutes to go, whether or not there's a chance at all for Afanasiev of coming back at there, Postiglione, who goes through. So the gap is now, gosh, 2.2 seconds. That's quite a margin in the space of a lap. And Vito Postiglione drops down through turn 1. Everybody else that's ahead of him in terms of the standings, serving pit stops, are all out of sequence. So this is the real race leader now. Vito Postiglione is ahead. Jordan Witt will have to pit this time because he's going to run out of time otherwise to get the stop done. The Imperiale racing car then, Vito Postiglione versus Sergei Afanasiev. Interesting, isn't it, to compare the speed of the drivers. Krus able to pull away from Galbiati. Postiglione instantly quicker in that car, brings the gap down, takes over the lead, builds the gap. Here's Jordan Witt in then, so the on-the-road leader gives way. Got Jakob Knoll at the helm of 66 into the stint now. Jack Butel has just pitted as well, number 81. First time out for him to give way to another Brit, David Fairbrother. occasional Porsche racer and Volkswagen Racing Cup regular. Number 44 then, Vito Postiglione into traffic now, comes up against number 22, now in the hands of Kurt Wagner, and getting in the way of the leader. Now this might just throw a Fantasy Ever lifeline if Postiglione gets stuck there for much longer, or indeed if there's any contact. Wagner trying to drive his own race, but a bit oblivious there to Postiglione, who goes through. That would have made him quite animated, I would have thought, behind the wheel then. So the pit window is imminently set to shut. And does that mean that we've not had anybody in? Yes, Antonius Vossos has not been shown as having come in, but he's in the pit now, is he? Yes, just as I say that, he comes down the pit road. So everybody has stopped. Mikko Eskelinen here, the trenchman Finn, taking over from Jake Rattenbury. And that is Jordan Witt, the Cheshire driver, helping to strap in his co-driver Oscar Lee. So Vito Postiglione, about to confirm himself as the race leader, comes out of turn 17, heading up towards the timing line. Jordan Witt walks away. More Lamborghini experience gain to keep him sharp before the Barcelona finals of the Endurance GT Series, the Blancpain Endurance Cup. There, ready to go then, is the Leipzig car. Oscar Lee behind the wheel of it. The Taiwanese driver, perhaps getting in some sneaky practice in readiness for the World Finals. Away he goes, just ahead, but then falls in behind the other car being released from the pit lane there that you saw at the same time being given the go. That was Mikko Eskelinen, who jumps ahead on the pit stops, therefore. So Eskelinen's stop was much quicker, a 1 minute 27.9 against a 1 minute 33.6. So either there's going to be a discussion about the Eskelinen stop, or it was a really slow stop by Oscar Lee's team. So there, 66 is now Jakob Knoll. At the end of this next lap, we'll have a true order because all the stops will have cycled through, and you're on board with Mikko Eskelinen, the Finn, who's done a lot of rallying as well as racing in GTs in Spain, as well as in the international scene. He's raced Lamborghinis in Asia, and an inveterate competitor is Mikko Eskelinen. If there's something to drive somewhere, he will drive it. He's always pretty good at gaining sponsorship as well. So Eskelinen been in the Super Trofeo going back 6, 7, if not more seasons. Down through turn 8 there goes 66. So got Jakob Knoll hustling on. Vito Postiglione in the meantime looking ever so secure up front, building the gap over Sergei Afanasiev. There's another pit stop under investigation, and it is Mikko Eskelinen. So just as I said, it was either a really good one or somebody else had a bad one. Well, the officials reckon it was short, so it was under the 1 minute 28 minimum. So Eskelinen only briefly under, like by a tenth, but he's going to be looked at for that. So penalties may well come, and that will affect things post-race. Over the timing line here comes Vito Postiglione, ahead on the road of Hans Fabry, number 88, you see behind. So the Imperiali Racing twins, but they're on different laps. They're in second place is Afanasiev, and he's now 3.1 seconds back. Now Stuart Middleton is third as he comes over the line, and a Stuart Middleton lap time now is a 2 minutes 1.8. Sorry, it's a 2 minutes 3.5 rather in this stint, and that's not quite as quick as the two ahead, surprisingly. He's a bit busy though, keeping Alberto Di Folco at bay, so he's having to defend here. Di Folco, number 9, took over from Davide Venditti, and he's hustling on behind Middleton. Looks to the inside line down at turn 3. The gap's going to open up. Middleton drifts ever so slightly away from the apex, just gets it all caught up again, and blasts now out of turn 4. Down the hill they come into turn 5. A drive-through penalty comes first of all for Holger Harmsen, not respecting the pit stop time. So Holger Harmsen, number 90, gets a drive-through. Sometimes, if you're short on the pit stop, you get the difference added on at the end. Might be, depending on how far off the regulation time you are, if it's only a few tenths, but if you're massively away, then the drive-through is offered up, and it's going to be a Holger Harmsen drive-through penalty to drop him down the order in the Attempto racing car. Number 79, Joseph Collado, though, gains 1.8 seconds at the end of the race. So he was a little bit closer to the margin, and we'll see what happens for Mikko Eskelinen. There is Stuart Middleton, though, still running third on the road and keeping Alberto Di Folco at bay with just over 16 minutes of the race still to go here. Stuart Middleton hustles on in the Bonaldi car. Bonaldi Motorsport, again, one of the stalwart teams within Lamborghini Super Trofeo. And Stuart Middleton doing his best to shake off Alberto Di Folco and go after second place Sergei Afanasiev, but it's not proving easy to do. Vito Postiglione goes through in the lead. Here is Mikko Escalinen, still under investigation for his pit stop. Escalinen is leading Robert Zwinger as far as the AM class is concerned. The gap between them 4 seconds at the start of the lap. Also in all of this, what's happened to Harold Schlegelmilch? He's in 11th place, going solo. And Escalinen is about to emerge from the last corner up towards the timing line. And with 15 minutes on the clock, Vito Postiglione it is that leads the way. 4 seconds clear now of Afanasiev, who is 10 seconds clear of Stuart Middleton. This is Mikko Escalinen's view, and he is now only 8/10 ahead of Robert Zwinger. The gap has come right down on the outlap. There is Zwinger on the tail of Escalinen. That's going to change, isn't it? That class lead imminently. And then third in the class is Gilles Vannelet, very experienced Gilles Vannelet, taking over from Nicolas Gomar. So down through turn 5 they come. And Mikko Escalinen is under huge attack now. Right on his tail is number 99 then. Robert Zwinger hustles on behind him, lines up to have a go now at the fin. So Escalinen, who is not that far behind Jakub Knoll either, Knoll in the pro category, but like we saw at Spa, fading. Robert Zwinger, the Slovakian, hunts down the fin. Truly cosmopolitan entry these days this championship has got. And 14 minutes of the race still to go. Escalinen is going to get a penalty at the end of the race, 0.186 of a second for being short on the pit stop. So number 33, Mikko Escalinen, is ahead, but he will add 0.186 of a second to his time at the end. He's 0.6 of a second ahead now, so he's going to lose a little bit of that, but it's a tiny, tiny margin to have to add 0.186, but it's going to be added and shows you how close to getting it right they were. It was oh so tight on that pit stop time. Up towards the chicane, Jakob Knoll's car is now falling further and further into the clutches of quick AM Cup drivers, don't forget here. So there's confirmation. The Jake Rattenbury Mikko Escalinen car gets 0.186 of a second's worth of a penalty at the end of the race for being oh so close to the pit stop time, but short of it. Postiglione leads, 5 seconds clear now, 13 minutes to go. The other question, though, is whether Escalinen's going to lose the lead on the track. Robert Zwinger comes up to have a go. He can't rely on the penalty being applied because 0.186 is nothing at all, really, so he needs to get ahead on the road. It's not like a 10-second penalty where you can just sit behind and it's easily yours. Down through the Mercedes arena they come then, lap 18, Postiglione 5 seconds ahead of Afanasiev. Middleton third, and is that gap coming down? It's not, in fairness. Middleton, because he's defending from Di Folco, is falling back. There they are, down at turn 8 at the bottom of the hill. And Stuart Middleton having to go defensive there, just trying to edge the car across the road, shake off Alberto Di Folco, who is another stalwart Lamborghini racer, not only in the Super Trofeo, but also in the Blockpan GT Series Asia, in the International GT Open Series, former Pro-Am champion in the European Super Trofeo. So an experienced driver is Alberto Di Folco, and as they drop down the hill, Anthony Lambert is next in the queue, so third, fourth, and there, fifth, all bunched up now, 12 minutes to go. Accelerating here out of the chicane to the inside line. Looks Di Folco, can he find a way through? Not there, he can't. Turns instead into turn 17 up towards the end of the lap. And as they come over the timing line once more, Stuart Middleton here is having a real workover, really having to defend for all he's worth as they go down towards turn 1. Alberto Di Folco is close, but they're in fact not close enough to have a proper go. Inches up on the brakes. cars now up through turn 3. Stuart Middleton, Alberto Di Folco, Anthony Lambert in 3rd, 4th, 5th places. Vito Postiglione, though, just driving away from Sergei Afanasiev here. So the second-placed Bonaldi car with nothing by way of retaliation for the Imperiale racing car. Those demon laps put in by Postiglione at the start of his stint have really worked wonders for him. And that car now clear in the race lead. The drive-through of Holger Harmsen, by the way, for being short on his pit stop, has not yet been taken. So the race official's getting a little bit more grumpy that that's not yet been served. If he doesn't hurry up, he might be heading for a black flag and an exclusion. 10 minutes are on the clock. Here is the fight for 3rd place. Middleton just ahead of Di Folco. Anthony Lambert dropping back a little bit now. That 5th place is way up the curb through the Schumacher-esque Stuart Middleton. You can see how hard he's trying here. So Robert Svinger ahead of Mikko Eskelinen, and there also ahead of Mikko Eskelinen now is Harold Schlegelmann. That gives him 8th. So Robert Svinger, unseen, has gone through into the lead now of the AM class, and he's getting away as he climbs the hill. Holger Harmsen is into the pits to serve the drive-through, and that, number 99, Robert Svinger, not only has he got the class lead, but he's about to have a go at Jakob Knoll on the inside line. Lines up to have a go. Can he go through? The answer is not there, he can't, but Jakob Knoll running in the pro class, and Robert Svinger, the leading AM, and there they are trading places pretty much. Side by side towards the chicane, Eskelinen fights back, gets up on the inside and goes through. That puts him ahead of the lapped car of Kurt Wagner, trying to hustle on behind the traffic. There is Knoll under attack. Robert Svinger's going to get the job done here. Look, coming onto the pit straight, accelerating now up towards the timing line. Side by side they will cross the line. Svinger has got the grunt. He's got the inside line as well for turn 1. For 6th place overall, the class leading Robert Svinger goes ahead of Jakob Knoll. Does he run out wide a little bit? Yes. Here is Harold Schlegelmilch trying to get through on the inside. Schlegelmilch, intriguingly here, is running as a Pro-Am entry, but because he's a soloist, you would anticipate he should be in the Pro Cup. Through he goes on the inside of Knoll, easily done. Jakob Knoll just not really at the races. We saw this at Spa, he was just much, much slower than Josef Zaruba, and he's lost 2 places in very quick succession. So Harold Schlegelmilch goes through on his own in that car, doing it as a soloist, so a slower pit stop as a consequence, but still good lap times being offered up, and now he is into 7th place. Jakob Knoll falling down the order. He might lose another spot yet to Eskelinen before the end. Schlegelmilch brakes at the foot of the hill. Now what can he do about Robert Svinger? Harold Schlegelmilch, former Formula 3 racer, had a few years away from the sport, came back through rallying, in fact, the Latvian. Schlegelmilch lining up to have a go at Svinger as they turn now into turn 12. He's up the inside, easily through. Svinger gave him racing room, and Harold Schlegelmilch irresistible now into the top 6. I don't think he's going to make much more progress from there, but this has been impressive up from the back of the grid, and the drive-through penalty, don't forget, as well. So Vito Postiglione now in and among the traffic. 7 minutes of the race still to go, but looking like it's going to be an easy win for him. They turn now up through turn 6. Postiglione climbs the curb, but to outscore here the car of Cruz and Afanasiev, important as far as the championship is concerned, with just 3 more races to go. Ideally, he would like more cars to get ahead of the Cruz Afanasiev entry and take points away from it. That is looking unlikely, but even so, to outscore, good news for the Italians. Middleton is keeping Di Folco at bay as they now drop down the hill once again. There, Stuart Middleton almost gets a tap in the tail from Alberto Di Folco. They are as one here. Di Folco trying everything he can, but it's not an easy circuit to overtake around this, so he's stuck behind Middleton. to the inside there, going into turn 11, no way through. Stuart Middleton fending him off all the while. It's not easy so to do, but he is doing it. They drop down the hill now once more, and they come up through the right-hander towards the chicane. So Alberto Di Folco, 9/10 of a second back at the start of this lap. In 5th is Anthony Lambert, still doing his best to stay in touch, but if anything, he has lost out over the last few laps. And then in 6th, as we've seen, Harold Schlegelmilch, but he is half a minute, give or take, adrift, so he's not going to do any catching, I don't think. He might bring the gap down a little, but he's certainly not going to get up with them in only 5 more minutes of the race to run. So, leaders through, Postiglione to Afanasieff 9 seconds, Stuart Middleton here a further 13 back, and then in 4th place behind Alberto Di Folco, who is still crawling all over the back of the former British GT4 champion. Up now towards turn 3 they will come, but Middleton covers off the inside line, swoops through, and towards the completion of this lap, but you can see the leading car, Vito Postiglione, well cleared. Now Di Folco looks for the inside line, tighter line, no gap though, out of the arena, down towards turn 5, and still hanging on to his place is Stuart Middleton, double winner this year in his first season of Lamborghini racing against Alberto Di Folco. It's been a real change this for Stuart, from years of Ginetta experience in the juniors, in then the GT4 car that he drove first of all to win the British title, then win races in Europe last season. So a very different proposition, different team, and different co-driver as well in Jack Bartholomew, away from Will Tregertha, with whom he's had most of his 2-driver success. Out of turn 8, climbs the hill. There you can see behind is Alberto Di Folco, shadowing his every move, but he just can't quite get himself into a position where he can force the issue, make the move. Nose to tail they come up towards turn 11 here. And all the while, the race leaders are getting away. We've had a change for 11th place, because Stephen Licorice now has gained ground against Oscar Lee. Stephen Licorice taking over from Thomas Padovani for 3rd place, the last podium place. Is it going to be Stuart Middleton to hang on? Alberto Di Folco is right there behind him once again as they come through the chicane now. Nose to tail, up to the end of the lap there. Superchai Wiraborwampong is lapped by Vito Postiglione, the race leader, who's got this and one more lap, I would offer you, looking at the clock. The Imperiale racing car has just been dominant in this race. Postiglione is over 10 seconds ahead of Afanasieff now, so it's pretty much job done, isn't it? Hard to envisage that anything now is going to trip him up to that level. There is Afanasieff, who is having in turn his own problems through the traffic. The Bonaldi car swoops around the outside, gets track position, but they're just going to have to consolidate points here. That has not had the pace in the second stint of the flying Vito Postiglione. So there is Afanasieff turning his way now out of the turn 8, long right-hander, up the hill once again. Sideways is Middleton up the curb, and this time it goes around. Right the way around, that delays Di Folco. Middleton gets it back in the right direction. He loses 2 places, but it could have been a whole lot worse. Way up the curb, loses the back of it, around it goes, and Stuart Middleton loses 2 places, but that was quite a save because he kept it pretty much facing in the right direction once it had had its loop, and he'd only lost, yes, 2 places, but only a couple of extra lengths behind them, so that was a pretty amazing recovery. Thankfully nothing was hit, and this also, having delayed Di Folco, gives Anthony Lambert a chance to go through as well. So 3rd, 4th, 5th, suddenly all shuffles, all changes. And we've got the leader on his last lap. Stuart Middleton will be kicking himself for that. He'll be furious. He's thrown away a podium finish. Through turn 17 come the leaders. We just got Benoit Semelin into the pit lane, incidentally, out of the AM class fight. But third, fourth, fifth go through in the new order of DeFalco, Lambert, and then Middleton. Now let's have a look at what Stuart Middleton did wrong. Too much speed into the Schumacher S, effectively up the curb. That unsettled the car, spat the rear around. A 360-degree spin. We had a Ferrari in the GT category doing that earlier on in the day that ended up in the gravel and oh so nearly rolling because it hit the tar barrier. Middleton kept it off, everything solid. So he survives, but he's down in 5th place. Here is the leader, Vito Postiglione, heading for the win as he makes the climb out of turn 8. Up the hill he comes now. More traffic ahead of Postiglione. And for the Imperiali racing team, a really good effort put in here. The car now turns its way through the turn 12 approach, up the inside of the traffic, easily through goes Vito Postiglione, and the race win beckons. He's looked so strong in this stint, and this is kind of what you expect from Postiglione. He's always been a front runner. He has, in the last few years, elected to run with a co-driver. It's a way of saving costs, I suppose, but it also means you are always at the slight mercy of your co-driver's pace. But in Kiko Galbiati, he's got a very good, quick co-driver. 51 has suddenly slowed right down. Limping over the line is Oscar Lee in the car that Jordan Witt briefly led in. But the checkered flag is at the ready, and it's going to be a win for Vito Postiglione and Kiko Galbiati. The flag is waved at the end of race 1 in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe. Second across the line, we should get Sergei Afanasiev and Danny Cruz, but it's a long wait. That car is on its way, and then for third should be Alberto Di Falco and Davide Venditti, but we're not done yet there either because Anthony Lambert is crawling all over the back of that car. Here, look, as they come now up to the last corner of the last lap. It is just going to be, I think, Di Falco to hang on as they come up towards the timing line, with third Di Falco, fourth in the end Stuart Middleton getting back ahead of Anthony Lambert, and so he falls to 5th. So Stuart Middleton, after his spin, lost 2 places, did gain 1 of them back. And then number 66 is heading for a very distant 9th place in the end. Jakob Knoll, as we saw at Spa, falling away sadly in his stint. But Vito Postiglione, Kiko Galbiati, the race winners. Now here's Mikko Eskelinen, who did lead the AM class. He's ended up 3rd in it on the road, and there's a penalty to come, but I don't think the .186 is going to lose him much more time. Up to the line then comes Mikko Eskelinen. So Postiglione and Galbiati win outright, and of course win Pro-Am to soloist Harold Schlegelmilch, who you could argue by rights really ought to be in the pro class. Robert Zwinger is the winning Am, and in the Lamborghini Cup that is going to be won by, where do we get to? Joseph Collado. So a race win for Kiko Galbiati and Vito Postiglione. A job well done there to get themselves into the lead on the pit stops, and Postiglione with some demon laps getting himself qualifying pace, jumping ahead of Sergei Afanasiev when that car that had been leading pitted, and ultimately Vito Postiglione coming through to win by 14 seconds, which is quite some margin. So race 1 of 2 for Lamborghini Super Trofeo concluded, and a very impressive drive indeed, as I say, by Postiglione and Galbiati. Let's look at the results then. Vito Postiglione, Kiko Galbiati, the race winners. From in 2nd place, Danny Cruz and Sergei Afanasiev, and coming home for 3rd, Davide Venditti and Alberto Di Falco. Recovering at the end for 4th, the car of Jack Bartholomew and Stuart Middleton, despite that spin. 5th, Niels Lagrange and Anthony Lambert, and then 6th, Harold Schlegelmilch on his own. Shota Abkazova not getting behind the wheel today, possibly not tomorrow either. Robert Zwinger 7th to win his class, ahead of Nico Gomar, and then in 9th place, Jakob Knoll, Jose Saruba, with Jake Rattenbury and Mikko Eskelinen rounding out the top 10. Oscar Lee and Jordan Witt's car, as I said, toward the end of the race, having a problem. That had slowed right down, but limped to not get the flag. I don't think it's actually made it home. It stopped on the track, so whether that's classified as a finisher or not, have to wait and see. However, there are the victors making their way round, and Vito Postiglione will be, no doubt, a very happy man. drivers then at the end of this first race of the weekend in Lamborghini Super Trofeo. They have one more tomorrow here, and then at the end of October the championship will go to the always popular Lamborghini World Finals at Jerez. It's a great weekend where you have the Thursday for qualifying, the Friday to a really hectic day for the last double headers of Europe and of the American and Middle East championships, and then Saturday and Sunday are the World Finals, where you have the Pro and Pro-Ams getting a race each day, the Ams and the Lamborghini Cup, and it's points scored in those that give you, if you like, a mini championship. Chico Galbiati, Vito Postiglione embrace at the end of a demanding race, but a very good win for the Italians. Chico Galbiati, as I said early on in the race, stepping up to a pucker pro entry this year, and certainly shows, doesn't it? Looking very strong indeed. So there, the drivers with the teams in Parc Fermé. They will shortly head up towards the podium, all being well, and we might be able to have a word with Vito Postiglione. Dakota will translate for us. It's a win for the Italian.
Right, congratulations, Kiko. Vito's just getting his congratulations there. What a fantastic race that was. Nail-biting to the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. At the first lap of the first race, of course, I took another car, and for that I have to say thank you to Imperiale and to Vito that did a really good job. The first corner was so good. I was in P2, and after the car also was very good, and I keep the position to Bartolomeo, and I stay behind Cross. I gave the car to Vito that did a really good job.
Vito, congratulations. Complimenti per la gara. Ancora tanto veloce. Congratulations.
Grazie, volevo fare soprattutto i complimenti a Chicco, che questa gara è stato davvero bravo, ha fatto un'ottima partenza, è riuscito a guadagnare subito una posizione, anche se all'inizio Kroos ne aveva un pochino di più di lui, però è stato bravo, poi man mano addirittura andava più forte lui, quindi alla fine abbiamo optato per cambiare subito appena aperta la pit lane, e questa cosa ci ha avvantaggiato perché siamo riusciti a rimanere comunque davanti a loro, e poi sono riuscito comunque a portare la macchina a traguardo in prima posizione, molto importante per noi in ottica di campionato. E poi chiaramente voglio ringraziare tutto il team Imperiale, tutti i ragazzi che come sempre ci mettono il massimo, e veramente la macchina oggi era molto veloce, e anche un ringraziamento a Ivano Pignatti che ci permette sempre di essere qua. Grazie.
What he said very quickly was that Kiko was very quick at the beginning. He made a few places. He's very happy with the win, and it was great points for his championship. Thank you.
And to outscore Danny Kroos and Sergei Afanasiev brings them back into the mix for the remaining 3 races. Vito Postiglione, you could argue, is overdue this championship. He has come so close season after season after season. It's always disappeared at the last rounds. But let's see what happens tomorrow and then at Jerez. A look at the best bits of race 1 of the weekend. This early easy lead for Danny Kroos built the gap, but then it just evaporated through the pit stops. Chico Galbiati bailed early to put Vito Postiglione into the car. Postiglione did qualifying lap pace. That brought him into the mix when we got to the completion of the pit window, and he was able to get ahead of Afanasiev as he rejoined. Stuart Middleton then became the centre of attention, rather busily trying to fend off Alberto Di Falco, and it was this mistake just a couple of laps from home that caused a big rotation for the British driver. Around he went, and he dropped a couple of places, one of which he gained back, in fact, on the last lap. So in fairness to Stuart Middleton, he didn't give up, but it was an easy win in the end by the best part of 15 seconds for Vito Postiglione and Sergei Afanasiev as they came through for Imperiale Racing to take the checkered flag. So Vito Postiglione, Chico Galbiati, race winners, forgive me, by 15 seconds from Danny Kroos and Sergei Afanasiev. So this is what the championship now looks like. The gap is down a little between Afanasiev and Kroos. This is overall rather than the pro points, with Stuart Middleton and Jack Bartholomew third ahead of the absent Karol Bash and Bartosz Pazieski. Davide Venditti and Alberto Di Falco come next, but as I say, you've got a mix there of pro-am drivers, so it's the individual championships that will be rather more keenly contested, and the gap will be down even more between Afanasiev, Kroos plus Galbiati, Postiglione in that title fight, with 3 more races to go. So the Lamborghini Super Trofeo as ever, giving action, and a good effort by Victor Postiglione and Kiko Galbiati to score the victory. And the drivers now, as I say, get themselves set for tomorrow. Interesting when you see so many different names, shows you the turnover of drivers this year, some dropping in and out, having a look at the championship, doing the odd round as preparation for a future race. And here is how the Pro Cup looks. So equal on points now, Galbiati, Postiglione, Cruz, Afanasieff. That's the real key out of all of that. But for the Pro class, they are equal on points at the end of the first race of the weekend. So it's going to be a real fight going down to the last few races of the season between those two cars, and wait to see how it pans out tomorrow, because whoever comes out on top out of that battle has the upper hand heading into the final two races. You don't drop scores, thankfully, in this championship. It's you keep what you get, so it's an easier thing to cope with, and it does reward those that have the better score, unlike some championships where you have the drop score principle. So drop scores you don't worry about, and equal on points. Now, this will be an interesting one to resolve, because Shota Abkazova should not get any points out of today because he didn't drive. So the officials might have to do a little bit of resolution here as to the fact that Harold Schlegelmilch drove solo. Shota Abkazova will appear on the result sheet provisionally, but or hold sway on that Pro-Am point score, because Shota Abkazova is going to be argued against having points given to him, but he never scored. We've had a real mix of drivers again in Pro-Am over the course of the season as well, and the championship will go down to the wire, as it will no doubt for Am and for Lamborghini Cup as well. Within the Am Cup, Nico Gomar is ahead of Jake Rattenbury and Mikko Escalinen, but Robert Zwinger is creeping up onto them. He is then fourth at the moment and inching up onto the back of the Rattenbury-Escalinen crew. But Nicholas Gomar, I think, given the way that he's been going this year, should be able to hang on to that advantage. He doesn't often get things wrong, and should be able, I think, to maintain the advantage. And we'll see how the Lamborghini Cup looks as well. So the rookie competition, if you like, for those that have come purely with a limited background into the Lamborghini Championship, headed by the father and son Semolins from Joseph Collado, 13 points back, 5 ahead of Gerard van der Horst. He's had a bit of a wake-up call this year, because normally it's his championship. He tends to rather dominate it, but he's having to work a lot harder for it this season. And then Hans Fabry, fourth, not helped, of course, by his drive-through penalty in that race. So, race 2 coming up tomorrow here from the Nuerburgring. Is that going to be another chance to get the gap ahead by Postiglione and Galbiati, or does Cruz and Afanasieff fight back within the Pro Cup? Join us to find out. For now, from David Addison, goodbye from the Nuerburgring.